don't say anything. Hi. Good evening. Yeah, you're going to have to put that on mute. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the January 12th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. You'll all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome. We do have, did we lose her? We do have Cindy online with us tonight on the computer somehow. I'm not sure how it's hooked up, but anyway, she's on, I guess you'd call it vacation. So welcome Cindy as well. Just quickly, a couple of announcements. Those of you who might have read, lost another long-time citizen of Waterboro, Betty Ann Hammond, passed away this last weekend. So our condolences go out to her family. Betty, if you didn't know her, her and Ansel for years ran the Waterboro Superette, and she later ran, I guess, a yarn, Last Stitch or some little business over in town. But it was also a significant figure in the Rebecca Lodge system throughout the town and county and also the state.
She just been for the fire department for years.
Right, and also one of the charter members, I think, of the auxiliary, Waterboro Fire Department auxiliary. So again, condolences out to the family of Betty Ann. Under appointments tonight, we have Road Commissioner Mr. Fay.
My name's Fred Fay, Road Commissioner, Town of Waterboro. The reason I would like to talk to you about is this building that we need for sand and salt mix. I know it's on back burner for next year under 11 and 12, but you know, when we went down there and remixed that sand this year, that was left from last fall, there was no salt left in it. No salt at all. And that's taxpayers' dollars. That's $60-some a ton. And something's got to be done. It's come to the point that it's gone too long already.
Why was the
Why is the salt not there?
What?
Why?
Rain. John, no protection.
Can't you put a tarp over it?
No, what good's the tarp going to do when it blows off on you? We've tried that.
Keeps
We
the rain
spent
off.
$500 every time and it just blows off on you. You can tie it with tires, it still won't stay on there.
Well, in Portsmouth, they have a huge salt pile with a tarp on it with anchored by tires.
Yeah, how much you suppose they paid for the tarp? Not more than $500, I can tell you that. This has gone as far as it can go, as far as I'm concerned. You want to leave it on the back burner next year, that's good. But you got to come up with something for next year, I can tell you that.
Fred,
I pay taxes just like the rest of you people do.
how many, I mean, I know that we had a fairly large amount of sand left over
Yes,
from
we did.
last year, okay, which is not typical, really. Typically, we use,
No, well, we've always
We've
had
always
quite a
had
lot,
some,
but we did
but-
have probably a little more this last year than we usually do.
so by having more left, just exacerbates the problem, right?
Yep.
Just as more opportunity for.
Well, that's one reason why we haven't put up any sand. We're trying to use what we got down there. We may have to put up, I'd like to say maybe one day of hauling. And they've reworked it, and good Lord's with us in the weather, maybe we can get by.
Well, certainly it was, we went over the capital plan last night. We know it's kind of targeted for, and part of the reason it's targeted is because of grants or whatever the
Yes,
case
yep.
may be. I think ultimately, and that could be very well a discussion point with the budget, or the finance committee and the board, if it's something that we want to look at in a sooner than later kind of scenario. The only real option, given the time, is for the town to bond it and go out and do that. And I'm not sure that, you know, as Tom explained last night, I think that the reason it was teed up for next year
Hopefully to
was
get
to
it.
allow, you know, some opportunity to poke
Right.
at grant money.
Yep.
Okay.
See, we missed that. How many years ago did that come out and Buxton got that?
Yeah.
A number of years ago. You remember that when they got that grant and got that building and everything.
So, I mean, you know, we keep the salt under a roof.
Oh, yeah,
but
that's
we don't
undercover.
keep the
That's
sand
undercover and
salt
locked
mix,
up.
right? So,
Well, we do have an account. It has, I believe it's $44,000 in it,
Well,
the salt building,
Yeah, I think it's like 16.
is it 16?
Yeah, I don't look at the audit, but I think it's what it is.
I mean, of course, that's not going to come anywhere near with the number that was proposed
no.
last evening, but
Well, you might come out less than that, too. You don't know.
but I think the money that was kind of just earmarked
That's
in
right.
in the plan was fairly significant, because we were looking at probably the largest footprint that
I get-
that Rudd proposed, not the smallest, or the in between.
I went over to Hollis and measured that building. That building's 120 by 80. 220 by 80. And there's a good possibility, I can find out tomorrow who the builder was that was quite a few years ago, and you realize your price is gonna be different. If I could talk to the builders, maybe we can get some kind of a figure what it would cost. Know roughly what we're looking at.
Yeah, I guess the key is what's the right size building, right?
Yep,
I think then you identify, you know, what's the right size building, and then what's the cost associated with that. I think what Tom had said and what he proposed and had in the capital plan was the very basic to probably something that may very well be overkill, but I'm not sure that, you know, somewhere in between there is a number. But we certainly have what all, you know, surrounding towns have done, and whether or not those are right-sized or not. I don't know what they put up in any given year versus what we put up in any given year. Because if you had someplace to keep it covered, you probably wouldn't put up as much,
that's right, you wouldn't
right?
have to. That would-
So you'd
you
have
know.
to look at what's the business case for not putting up as much in any, you know, and then letting it sit versus what waste we see because of,
See, they put all their salt and sand right in one building. Well, now we have a separate building, which could be used for something else. If you had a building big enough, that building could be cleaned out, washed out, and you could use it for storage or garage or whatever for the town.
Well, you know, one of the things that Tom was talking about last night too, and we're looking at 20 years, and you've got a building, and in 20 years, this town is going to do nothing but grow and need more facilities, and so you're looking at possibly a storage area for salt, but also a storage area for equipment as
True.
we get more equipment, and we possibly get into doing more of the work on the roads ourselves, and so, you know, this is something that may look as if you're looking at a grant to build a facility like that, you're looking not just now, but you're looking 15, 20 years out
I agree
also.
with you, I agree with you.
Fred, do you know if there's a facility in town that might be available to lease or rent to
No, I
store
don't.
that?
I don't. And you wouldn't want to go with a steel building, you know, that's not the answer, because that building in Hollis is a wood structure, but it does have steel. But what they do on the back side of that building, which you do with any building that's got metal, where your sand goes against it, and in time you're gonna have to change a panel, and that's what they do every year. But as far as a straight steel structure, I don't know if
What does
your cost is higher.
Buxton have? Do they have a dome?
They have a
the
dome,
dome.
it's a big dome, yeah. That's what they got when they got their money.
This most recent building that they put up in Buxton for the town garage, was that done on a grant, or did they bond it?
They got that on a grant, I think that, they say Lyman's got a nice big building down there, right on the Waterboro Road. We talked to Morris St. there, I have to go down and look at that and see who's the contractor on that one. At least get some prices. Try to get some prices.
Anything else, Fred?
No, I'm all set.
Okay. Jack?
Double Buxton. Hi, I'm Jack Seery, President of the Friends of the Waterboro Library. A lot of what I'm going to say you already heard last night. For those who weren't there last night, the Friends have approached Representative Pingree's office looking to get some federal money for the new library. They're very encouraging. And as of today, we've also made contact with Senator Snow and Senator Colin's office as kind of, keeping all the big shots at the same page and working together and all that sort of stuff. We're asking for $500,000. I learned today that we should ask for $500,000. We may get $250,000, but we should ask for $500,000. We will do that. It's a long process, going from Representative Pingree deciding whether or not she wants to include it in what she puts to the Appropriations Committee, to the House Appropriations Committee deciding to make it part of their bill, to that getting reconciled with the Senate bill, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We have a clue as to how Washington works. Once it's all approved by everybody, et cetera, it'll still take 18 months to get the actual money in hand, which gets us up into 2012, which may be the finishing touches on a new building by that time, so who knows. You heard most of that last night. I talked with Nancy after I came back from that meeting with Representative Pingree. And the application begins by saying the name of the submitting organization, which is the Friends of the Waterboro Library. Contact information will be myself. Address and contact information for the organization receiving funding, if different than above. My understanding and recommendation from Pingree's office is that that be the town of Waterboro. The money's going to come to the town of Waterboro. If the Friends were some big research, nonprofit, long-standing, you could probably pull it off by doing it that way. Given who we are, it coming from town this way and the money going to the town is a much stronger application. So I wanted to be sure that A, you knew that, and B, you didn't have any problem with that, or any things that I don't foresee. So that's primarily why I'm here tonight, just to be sure you know it, and to be sure you don't have any problems with us saying, yes, if all this goes well, the money will be coming to the town.
So the launch really becomes something that the Friends will, there's no role in that from the town's perspective, right?
You don't need to do any work on that. We'll do all the application for Representative Pingree is really fairly simple and straightforward. It's not a huge, complicated application. But we'll do all of that. We'll go down to Washington. Joe Wagner has offered to go down with me at some point if we get that far and do the rounds. The things I've gotten myself into by getting involved in this is rather strange. But anyway, so to answer your question, no, we'll do all of that. And once it's in the works, then it's just in the works. So by April, we will pretty much have finished what we can do with it. We'll just kind of track it and see what happens. And hopefully someone calls us up and says, yes, it's been approved, and you're going to get a couple of $100,000. Yeah.
Okay.
And as far as I know, the other question on here, are there any other proposals coming from us? And there aren't. As far as Tom and I know, there aren't any coming from the town at this point. So there's no need to prioritize or anything along those lines. I will keep you informed.
Any questions?
Well, if you had the opportunity to make a phone call to the Department of Agriculture on that.
I haven't,
Oh, okay.
I
No, that's
haven't
fine.
got that today. We'll check that out. I'll talk with Tom and Matthew Eddy and see what contacts they have and just see where that goes. It's on my to-do list.
It seems to be getting longer.
Huh?
It seems to be getting
Yes.
longer.
Perpetually longer. Keep hoping someday you might get it shorter, but don't say so. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jack. We got a 6:30 with the FET guys. If you guys want to bear with us for a minute, we'll kill a couple of other agenda items here, and then for those people that either wanted to be here at 6:30 or tune in at 6:30. Any hearing of delegation? Correspondence, just quickly, the town has received, the board has received from the Board of Selectmen from the town of York. And I'm not quite sure what they're asking us for, but they have sent a packet and a position paper with regards to the Maine Turnpike Authority's proposal to change over the York Toll Plaza. It would appear that based on some of the stuff that's gone on in the, and you might have either seen or read about, that there is a not an agreement between this town of York's board and the Maine Turnpike Authority of what's going to go on there. So anyway, it's about a, I don't know, 100-page package here. And there was commissioned evidently through an LD that was passed up in the legislature, a report, and the Maine Turnpike Authority has that in here, but the position paper from the board is actually, they don't agree with that naturally, but really doesn't, other than an awareness for us of where they're coming from. There's no action required, but anyone is certainly, I think it is out on may very well be in the correspondence out on the website, but it makes us some interesting reading on why the Maine Turnpike Authority is not going to do anything but look for a new site to put it. So they've chosen not to look at expanding the current one or whatnot, but the intent is that it will be high-speed lanes, and if you have Easy Pass, you can drive through at 65 miles an hour, and you don't have to pay the toll. If you're going to pay a toll, you're going to have to drive off from the turnpike to pay the toll.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's, like I said, I'd be more than happy to read the correspondence, but, and I know this has been an ongoing thing for, what, 4 or 5 years now?
It's amazing to me with the state cutting back on everything, services, and that they're looking to, I mean, it'd be one thing if by changing the toll plaza, you are ultimately saving money, but what you're doing is you're speeding up the people coming in or leaving the state. And I'm not sure that's not more than a dozen days a year that toll plaza really backs up. So you have this huge expense of changing that toll plaza around, and I can't see how it's going to benefit the state as far as any income coming in or cost savings. So it's beyond me at this time why they would be doing that.
So anyway, that is the correspondence. Of any significance for the week, other than a bunch of letters and comments. I know we do Nancy's report.
We held our first budget workshop last Thursday, and we're going to be holding them every Thursday at 5:30 for at least the next 3, this month anyway. Last night, we had the joint meeting with the Finance Committee, the Selectmen, and the department heads, and Tom Mercer presented the capital improvement plans to the Finance Committee, and the department heads were given an opportunity to please do a little talk of explanation of their plans. Still working on the insurance bids, and I will have all the updated budget sheets for the suggestions that came out of last Thursday night, this Thursday.
Okay. Anything else, Nancy?
No, that's it.
Anything from the board?
Just in everybody's packet, there's a memo from the Economic Development Committee. Brian Doyle, who had come in with the Economic Commissioner, John Richardson's, and I have been communicating back and forth, and he's going to be attending the next Economic Development Committee meeting. What Brian has found is that there's some community development block grants that the town of Waterboro may be eligible for. And there's two purposes that we could use the grant for. One would be to develop an economic plan for the community that would help us focus where we could attract business within the community and the types of businesses, along with what type of a workforce do we have, explore those and develop a plan based on it. The other option that is there are grant monies that would help us complete our comprehensive plan and bring it through the process of getting state approved. If we were to explore that type of an option, then that opens up many more grant opportunities to us than what's available without us having that done. So he's going to be coming to the next Economic Development Committee. Would like to invite the board to attend, hear what he has to say, and I think this is just the first of many conversations and meetings that we're going to have with Mr. Doyle.
Good. And I think Brian was pretty instrumental with
How and how?
Tom and the efforts that went through with Nick and Adrian and the Howe brothers, right? So, which is always good to have somebody from, I know years ago, when you talked economic development in Augusta, they were trying to do everything they could for the county, right? Everything north of the Bangor, because that's where they were trying to drive business into. And so it's good to see that there's some effort now in southern Maine, so.
One other thing that's in your packet too, the board should be familiar with, is the correspondence you got from Dick Brown on charter, York County Charter.
Yes. York County, there's a number of things going on that, not in the least that the budget is in the process of churning, the budget approval process, but there has been a move to look at a charter for York County government. Today it is run strictly by state stature, and so that preliminary, I guess, outline or straw man, or however you want to talk about it, has at least been kind of laid out as to what that would look like and consist of. And of course, as time goes on, that will get refined. Willis?
Yeah, actually, we were going to discuss with them about an alternate for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Willis would like to have an alternate for regional waste,
Okay.
so I'll put it on next week's.
The only other thing is that on Monday night here, this Monday coming is the 12-town group meeting, and the discussion will be centered around budget at the York County level. So if anybody's interested in attending that, that is an open forum, but it's really, the 12-town group that does that, and John Sylvester is the chair of that group.
Probably should, maybe we could add that as an agenda item this evening, just for a quick discussion from the board, because I'm sure that John's going to be asking for feedback from the communities, and as opposed to me going and saying, this is how Waterboro feels,
Right.
It'd be nice to know what everybody on the board's feelings are about the county budget this year.
Okay. After the reports, we'll entertain that, okay?
Yep.
Anything else? If not, I think we're close enough to the 6:30 hour, so we've invited Mr. Cannon and Mr. Bartlett in, as we have done for the last 3-4 years. the fishing derby's coming up, so I guess I would, if you want to give us an update of where we are and what's happening.
It's going to be on February 14th this year, Valentine's Day. I don't know.
Valentine's.
I don't want to irritate some spouses on the way. But
Yeah, you want to speak in the microphone? Go. Yeah, smile.
yeah, it's going to be on February 14th this year, and the only significant change we have from a division standpoint in the adult division, we broke it up a bit to have a specific bass division this year. Coming from some of the fishermen, talking with the biologists, we thought it was a good thing to do. It doesn't really change shouldn't change the quantity of bass brought in, it's just going to break it out. So potentially the cold water species fishermen can still take home a huge prize, and the bass people will have their own separate division. The total prizes, not including the door prizes, will have gone up from $5,500 to $6,750 this year. That's due in large part to added support from Lakeside. As usual, Lakeside Market has been a huge help in making this all possible for now the 11th year. The only other things obviously we're going to coordinate our usual trash pickup situation, working with the fire department, as well as hiring a deputy, something that we started last year based on some concerns about the Route 5 traffic and so on. From our standpoint, it really helped us a lot because we had been keeping that open and doing the parking at the boat launch area primarily ourselves, and I think we had done a decent job at it, but having actual law enforcement there and a sheriff's department vehicle with flashing blue lights certainly makes people pay attention when you ask them to, move or get out of a potentially dangerous situation, which is what we're all trying to avoid, of course. The Lions are going to return. As far as the food goes, last year we had to use a private entity because they weren't available for us. We want to keep it to a nonprofit, community-type support situation if possible, and that's what we're doing. We're back to having them. That's primarily all that I had. Scott, got anything to add?
The only thing we will address a little bit is, just to get your feeling on it, is we have received a few emails with some of the residents from Waterboro, primarily from the back side of the lake, addressing parking concerns from the Derby, blocking of roads, private roads, things of that nature. One of the individuals was a volunteer fireman from your town, and made a point of saying, if there was calls, whatever, he couldn't get out, that type of thing. It's been our stance that we try to follow all local and state laws. We did bring on hire a sheriff last year for overtime to, I don't think, police all the roads around the lake, and we don't feel as an organization it's our responsibility to have to patrol the roads or to try to keep them open. We've always kind of gone under the pretense that we follow all laws, and would ask that if there are issues around the lake, that those people, if they feel that it's a safety concern, to please contact your local authorities and have the vehicles removed or have them deal with it like you would on any other day.
Scott, do you still have those correspondence that, I'm sure that everybody's reaction is, I'm going to get a hold of FET Inc. and tell them that, I had a problem, but I'm not sure that any of that got into here to speak of.
I have one.
But if you could, you might share that with us, maybe we can look at if it's concentrated into one area, maybe there is something that we could at least have.
Yeah, I think it's
shown.
over towards the Hush Puppy Drive.
I think the gentleman that wrote the letter is here, so
Okay.
John, I believe that's why
Yeah.
John's here this evening.
Okay. And again, we want to, partner with the town and everybody else and keep it happy for everybody. But this is the first that we've heard of it. And again, like every other issue that's been brought up to us for the last 11 years, we like to get right on top of it and try to solve that, working with you folks to the best of our ability. So anything that we can do to help the situation, we are willing to work with you on it. We just don't feel it's our responsibility to bring on extra law enforcement to patrol the roads or to deal with that issue. I mean, I think it should be handled through the regular avenues, which we would do on any other day.
Okay. Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
I'm the gentleman he's talking about. My name's John Clinton, and I live on Hush Puppies Road, off of Waterboro. And Dean Drive is the other end of that. Hush Puppies goes down and connects into Dean Drive. Past 3 years, the vehicles have been getting heavier and heavier down there. Last year, I had to push a truck out of the way. I had to go into the woods with my plow truck to get by some. If there was a fire down there, an emergency, nobody could get in, and nobody can get out. Now, as a fireman, I'm familiar with the number of calls we've had in the area. We've been lucky they haven't been during the Derby. We've had over half a dozen ambulance calls on Dean Drive and Hush Puppies Road. We have people that have heart problems on Dean Drive. We have family that lives on Hush Puppies that has heart problems. There's some other folks who are over 70 years old. And, I hear what you're saying, but I don't really think it's our responsibility to go out and police that ourselves. I really think that either the town or you folks have to take on that responsibility and make sure that these people that are coming into your event are doing what they should do. And that's not parking and blocking roads and blocking right-of-ways. Weber Road is a very good example. Excuse me, I was coming down about halfway through the day. I had to stop probably a dozen times from Townhouse Road to my house. That's a mile. And the reason I had to is because there's cars parked everywhere on the road. Cars, trucks, trailers, they're up in snowbanks. I know there was an issue down by Chadbourne Ridge at the end of Weber Road last year. I was listening to it on the police scanner. They had vehicles parked down there that were blocking the road. It's a real issue. I commend you guys, Route 5, you've really taken care of the problem. I remember when I first started running up and down Route 5 with ambulance calls, and Derby was going on, I think I was going to make it through, and it's been cleaned up. So now I think that has to extend to the rest of the area. And I think the town has a big responsibility in this too. There's all kinds of places that these vehicles could be parked. The Parks and Recs Commission has a bus now. Maybe the schools, or we could park them down by the ball field, and we could shuttle these people back and forth so that they don't have to do this. I don't know what the answer is. We've had some people that have been in the Derby in the past, and now they come down every weekend, and park down on our road. Last weekend, I had to go out on the ice and get some people and have them come back in and move the vehicles because I couldn't get out of my road. I mean, it's really getting ridiculous. I finally got them all to stop going in there now, right now, but the fishing derby is a completely different story. So myself and Dean Look, he lives on Dean Drive, all of the people on both roads have all said they don't want anybody on their property. Nobody. And what's happening is they're coming down and they're parking, and they're going across people's property to get to the lake. One in particular, Roberish, 2 years ago they came in, and there were 2 trucks there, and they were going to have them towed. Now, that wasn't during the Derby, but those same 2 trucks are there all the time now. So I'm just looking for help. We've got to get this resolved. And I'm not a police officer, and I should not have to go up and down that road and call the police and have them tow all these vehicles. That's a big responsibility for me to take on. And I don't think it's right. I don't think that's the way it should be. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you.
I was hoping that we were going to have Sean here this evening and the fire chief. I know they've been here in the past when we've had this meeting. I'm disappointed that they're not here this evening, Sean being our contract deputy. I agree, FET has done a tremendous job over the years of trying to improve the situation down there with regards to parking. And I have to say, I'm there every year, and last year was definitely, as far as Route 5 goes, that was the best that the parking situation down there has been. And I agree that now we have to look at how do we expand it so that it's picking up some of those other side roads that are being impacted. And maybe one of the solutions to that is, if you folks are hiring an officer, maybe our correspondence with the sheriff needs to be that we expect our contract deputy to be working that day during the hours of the fishing derby to supplement the additional staff that FET is hiring.
Especially in the morning. I mean, where people are parking it, that later on, it's probably not as necessary, but it needs to be on duty, and maybe another person too to come during the crucial parking hours.
If there are specific concerns, like Dean Drive and Huss Puppy Drive, if there are any more, one of the solutions that we might look at is, I know that Sean had got some barricades type devices from the fire barn last year. We as an organization would be willing to help purchase a few signs that we could use every year, and maybe on those problem areas we could post those roads with signs the morning of the Derby, or maybe the day before, saying whatever we decide that might be worthwhile to say, and we would like to share that cost with the town, so the town could keep those for future, or if you're not willing, we would bear the cost of those signs on our own, to show we do want to continue to do the right thing. So we can look at that as an option, and also with the sheriff that we do hire, and maybe typically we had him in the morning, that was the busy time, and then after that we do have him, I believe we had for 8 hours, 6 or 8, well, whatever it is.
We can extend that if necessary.
And we have to, yeah, we'll extend that if we have to on our dime, and we can have him make a couple of trips around the lake during the day. We could give John our contact numbers if there are issues. He could call us up at the main tent, and we can have the sheriff drive over there and try to deal with it. Bottom line is, if it's an emergency situation, we can assist in helping out and maybe getting the vehicles towed. We'll do whatever we can. So those are just suggestions, and again, if you want to do the barricade thing, we'll definitely help assist with the signs, foot the bill for it, or I don't think we'd need more than half a dozen signs, and maybe Todd down to RSD could make them for us, and we could keep them at the town fire barn with the barricades, so we could use them every year, or people could use it for any other events that might happen around town.
I think if, we have 2 significant events in town that cause a lot of issues with parking, and this and Old Home Days, and we have the same kind of issues with Middle Road and whatnot during Old Home Days fireworks. So maybe we ought to sit down and talk with Sean and Matt and the folks here locally to say, hey, is there something that we ought to be, maybe a few more barricades? If you guys are willing to donate some of those, that's fine. And because if you got a private way, which Hush Puppy and Dean, there's really nothing that prevents you from barricading it off and keeping all the traffic out of there, right? Or maybe we post one side of Weber Road so that there's only parking on one side and you leave the other side open. Those are the only way that you're going to really drive this. And people can ignore signs, but I think that's where we got to look at the law enforcement folks.
As long as the sign is posted with the statute on it, making it a tow zone for emergency, the sign has to say emergency tow zone, or there's certain language it has to be on the
Yeah.
sign, but then you can have them towed if they're parked in that zone.
Even if it's private, though? If it's private?
Not if it's private, but on the public
It
road.
doesn't have to say
Yeah.
emergency situation. They can just put a sign up that says, violators will be towed, right?
Well, I believe they're going to have to go that far as trespassing laws that were passed. Just a phone call to the warden service, and a summons is issued. But if you want to develop the language, with the town, with the people, of what you want it to say, give Coco a call, or Nancy contact him with what it is you want on those signs, and like I said, we can have a few of them made up and donate them to the town.
John?
Years ago, even before the Derby, we used to have that problem on my road, which is private, and what we did, we just put up a couple of sawhorses with a private no trespassing signs on it, and that was the end of it. And I think that gives anybody, a neighbor or whatever, to an empty cottage, the right to call a record and have it removed. I'm not sure with this trespassing thing.
I know a
Because
few,
the whole road is private.
few years ago, we had people plowing out driveways, right, so that they could...
Yes.
I'm not sure that has happened in the last couple of years, but, I think it is an event, and people, no matter what, they're going to say, well, I'm going to be in the event, I need to find a place to park, so... But I think there is some opportunity, as we talked about before, of shuttling people from the middle school or from the elementary school or Friendship Park, for that matter, to and fro. So we'll continue to poke at that.
Thank you for your comments, Dennis. We would like to be proactive on this. Having a car towed is going to tick 10 people off, and then next year 100 people won't come to the Derby. And that's not the position we want to have. I think the shuttle idea is good, and it sounds like, last year you cured the problem on Route 5, but it sounds like it got pushed over onto the back roads. So anything you could do to have
It's like pushing on a balloon,
preempt the
right?
problem.
You can only push on a balloon, and somewhere else is going to hit. So if you restrict parking one place, they're going to look for someplace else. So,
Regardless of what
Yep.
we do, we know there's going to be one
oh,
that will
absolutely.
violate it somewhere.
Yeah.
There's
Fred?
some old signs up there that they had for the transfer station. They're sitting on a big rim and everything. And all you'd have to do is put private on that, and you can put them on the end of the road.
Right.
They're sitting there, nobody's using them. I mean, if you want to put them on a road, so like that road, you can do that and see what happens. In our mind, I mean, it belongs to the transfer station, they don't use them anymore. So it'd work out good, really, to put a sign on there, private, no parking, whatever.
But we can go down and say Fred said.
Yeah.
Just a question about, I know right now the ice isn't safe. The 6 snowmobilers that are in the lake this weekend, when are you going to make a determination if you have to postpone?
Typically what happens is Coco, myself, and Eric Tangway get together, and we'll go out and look at the lake and make a determination, usually about a week prior. Sometimes it's just been a few days before. Obviously, I don't think you could have a worse scenario than snowmobiles going through, the ice this weekend. But I think everybody knew the condition of the ice. And again, hopefully we get a cold snap and everything will be fine. But we would typically make that determination within a week of that date. If we have to push it back to the 21st, we would, and worst case, we'd cancel it. We've had worse years than this one. We've never canceled one yet. So, and when we stand by, we don't condone, or we don't tell people they can or can't, or should or shouldn't go on the ice with snowmobiles, four-wheelers, vehicles of any sort. It's so.
Okay. Anything else, folks? John?
With this, I heard a lot of suggestions and ideas and things. What's going to happen next?
It's something that we'll have to put on probably next week's agenda, and we'll set up a workshop for our folks, basically, Sean and Matt and the board, and we'll invite whomever, and see what's going to come from there.
Mike.
And Mike, right, and we'll go from there. So,
We wouldn't have any problem as far as putting sawhorses up putting signs up. If you're gonna do that, you probably have to do it Friday. Because a lot of these folks come in for the Derby the Friday beforehand and stay in their little sheds and actually their apartment houses. Some of those fishing things are 40 feet long now and 2 stories and, you know.
That's good, just you guys make a decision on really what you want us to do. If you want us to provide those signs, let us know in advance so we can get Todd to make some up. And if you want us to do it, put something out there Friday.
We'll work with you on that.
Yeah, and, I'm sure we can work through COCO locally and see about those things down the transfer station. If we have to get the barricades, we said, whatever we have to do, we will. Just, you people let us know what you want or need from us, and we'll make it happen.
Okay.
I do have one other suggestion.
Yep.
I don't know how many people responded to the call for the CERT team, but that's a community emergency response team, and those folks might be available also to help with parking and not policing, but keeping an eye on areas to make sure that things go the way they're supposed to be.
Good suggestion.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? No, certainly, thank you, gentlemen, for coming in, and
What's
everybody's...
going on inside there?
No, it was John.
And John and Dean and John, and thanks for your input as folks that have kind of are on the backside and kind of out of the visual eye during the course of the day. So a lot of things happen around the backside of the lake that might not be as exposed as Route 5 is. So appreciate that. All
You
right.
might not want to know what he's doing.
Well. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Committee reports. Road Review Committee is up. So, John, you're on.
Thank you.
I've made up these packets which will explain ditching. People ask why, when, who, how come all of a sudden it appears that we need this problem, or we need to take care of this problem. And we came up with reasons for it. We have sizes for it. The main thing is that the biggest enemy to roads is water. And once it gets on the road, it needs a place to go. If it stays on the road, we have a problem. If it stays on the side of the road, we have a more problem, and that's year-round. The water has to keep away from the road bed, I guess is what you would call it. This was in this particular explanation was in last year's CIP, and I believe it's in again this year. And I'm still getting questions. We've had seminars by the state as to grade the roads. Every road in town has been viewed, pictures taken, and analyzed. There is a report on every road. I believe it's every half mile or every quarter mile, I'm not sure, of the condition of the road. If you want more of these copies, I can get some more, have some more made. One of the big questions is that people have wanted to know, well, how much does it cost to ditch? Well, if you drive down any road, just 100 yards, you'll find that it's different on both sides, and from the beginning to the end of that 100 yards, it's also different. There is a chart in here as to, I should have had these pages numbered, but there's a drawing in here as to what is normally done to an area that needs to be ditched. Which would include materials of culverts, riprap, shoulder gravel, brush removal, material removal, erosion control, entrance road or a driveway with a plan for that. Equipment needed could be 1 or 2 or 3 14-yard trucks, an excavator, and 1 or 2 flaggers, depending on the road and where we're doing the work. Some of these roads are superhighways, and they're treated as such. And then we also have listed in here the types of in looking at the roads. I don't know, after doing that, every time I go out, I'm looking at the cracks in the road, or if there are any, or if it's wide enough, or if it's not wide enough. And there is a 3-page scenario in here of the different things to look for, and what it means to the road, and what needs to be done to the road. And it starts with yes. Number 1. Yeah, I know. And it goes on from there.
So John, the proposal, I mean, there is funds this year, hasn't been done yet, any ditching, but that is for what road?
We don't know yet.
Okay, but I thought there was some specific,
There was a list that probably will have to be reviewed in the spring
Okay.
to see if we had any winter problems on these roads. And like Tom said last night, it's not 63 miles, it's 126 miles, because you get both sides. But it doesn't mean that both sides have ditches. And there's some of them that have quite a ditch on both sides. It's been an interesting lesson. There was something else that was to your question. Oh, I got an answer to the problems, and that's the last page of this report. I don't know if anybody saw it. In the paper, that's to turn them all into gravel. That'll slow them down. This is out of the main Sunday Telegram, and it's being done all over the Northeast, I guess, and also in Maine. When they either do a new road or whatever, I think we might have to change probably some of the wording in the road standards or whatever, but the towns are reverting to, because of the lack of funds, to gravel roads. If it gets too bad to make a major fix, they clean up the surface and turn it into a gravel road. It's much easier to maintain a gravel road than it is a paved road. It'll slow people down too.
Okay.
I can't imagine turning Roberts Ridge or Deering Ridge or any of those roads back to gravel, but it is an interesting.
Pam already wants her street done first.
Or Silas Brown.
Yes, she wants that done first.
People would change, I mean, look at, how many years was 22 from Foxy's Den all the way to the corner? That was dirt for years and years and years, right? Where the Buxton Town Hall is now and all that good stuff.
Having been a school administrator in a place where they had loads of gravel roads, I can tell you that the bus maintenance was a serious issue. Buses fell apart on those gravel roads.
Different department, I'm trying to take care of ours. And I'm sure our vehicles will take a beating too, because nobody's going to drive the speed limit, even if it is a potted dirt road. So I hope that this packet here will answer even more questions on the CIP. The reason why it was put in there for 2 more years is that because we really didn't get started this past year because of funds. And what we need to do is to try and get all of it done within a normal period of time, a year or 2, and then it reverts back to regular maintenance by the road commissioner. But it hasn't been done for years, unless there was a problem.
John, have you got an idea of what, once we get up to get it done, what the yearly maintenance might be?
I believe Fred's got a budget amount in there, and it's minimal, because he would do so many, schedule so many miles or so many roads each year. It'll take 3 to 4 years for it to grow over, to fill up, and be visually in need of ditching.
So I think the number was what, 100 and...
I only put in for 105, I believe, for this next year.
but it-
120.
But for 2, right? It was 120
It was
next year.
120
Yeah.
for this upcoming year,
Okay.
so that Deering Ridge Road and part of it for ditching, and then 105 for the 2 years after. So it was a
Each year.
3-year CIP
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
Nice presentation here.
And for the first time, I've put in a budget. I can't remember how much it was. It was several $1,000s. We've never had a budget before, but it seems as though this panel is making demands on us that we do not have the talent or the equipment to work with. One of them is a traffic counter, and I believe that was around $2,000. It would be ours. We'd take care of it. We can use it year-round. As I mentioned last night, I don't know why, Bennett Hill Road, we could do that even in the wintertime if we had our own counter. You can borrow them. We have in the past borrowed them from the state, and we've borrowed them from the sheriff's department. Both requested it not be left out overnight, so they need to be removed. And we are a volunteer committee, and to have somebody get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go put a counter out, and then come back at 9 o'clock at night or whatever, and take it home with them and bring it back again the next day is, I don't know, it's a little above and beyond the counters that we would, the counter that we would first purchase would be it's not a sign, it's just the rubber hose and the bump bump as you go over it.
Well, I think there's, and I think we said this a couple of times from this board. I think that Road Review Committee over the past couple of years has really done a super job of trying to consolidate and keep everything going and look at, where the next project should be and whatnot. And I think one of the tasks that we need to toss to you is, we all know that we can't continue at the pace that we are with what little we put into roads. And I think in the next 6 months or whatever we need from the road review of really if we were to go do a significant amount of work, whether it's upgrades or repaving or whatever the case may be, what is that dollar number? And because I think at some point in time, this town has got to look at doing some bonding, some level of bonding, so that we can at least maybe make up what we've lost. You know, because it's been how many years since we've really put any significant...
Yeah, the road
dollars in
review committee has, in the past, as far as I know, in the last 10 years, that it's only been charged with new projects. And you get $125,000 to spend on a new project, whether you finish it or not. That's how much you've got to at least start it. And I think that's where we've fallen off the wagon a little bit, because this town has grown more than $125,000 worth of infrastructure over the past few years.
I think the other piece that comes along with that, however, that being said, and I think as we look forward to what it is we need to do for projects, and I know that there's been an age-old argument of whether a road has got engineering drawings or it doesn't have engineering drawings. You know, we've gone full circle here. Years ago, there was nothing that could happen in this town unless you had engineering drawings, right? We did Otsby Hill Road, we did a number of sections of road in this town that Sebago Techniques did all of the drawings and whatnot. I think we had, after the little bit of fiasco we had on Clark's Bridge Road, which probably wasn't the engineered drawings problem, it was the manner in which the guy that had the project built the road. You know, then it became, well, we don't need engineering drawings anymore because we don't really gain anything out of that. But I think as we move forward and start to look at bonds or grants, or I guess Tom could speak to this to some extent, I'm not sure that you can get a bond or a grant if you don't have something that says, here's the engineered drawing and the engineered estimates of going forward.
They're not going to believe me standing up here, that's
Well,
for
I mean,
sure.
it's no longer going to be, well, and I understand
Yeah.
you guys have got a whole collection of road experts and people that have done a lot of things, but when all comes said and we're going to borrow or grant or whatever those funds are, you know, you're going to have to go to another level.
You're mistaken, we have no road experts.
Experience, I should say.
And actually, that's already a conversation that the road review committee started having
Yes.
a month or so ago, and already bantered about looking at having an engineer come and do an evaluation and figure out what needs to be done, and then building out from there. So road review's already a step ahead of doing that.
Well, we've already done the first piece in the evaluation of the roads, surfaces, as you've mentioned, for every quarter mile, a half mile of road. So that's the first thing. And then, you know, the second thing is the counter to know the traffic that
Yes.
goes on each part of each road. So now you have some statistics that can tell you what a first priority or a second priority road may be according to the use, the condition of it, and then you get an engineering study on top of that. And I think that's what we need to really start prioritizing these roads and come up with a plan to, over the next 5 or so years, to really
We have
do
had
some
that
serious
trailer
work.
counter. When you get put on the list, you get it for a week. You know, and that's not,
Yeah, I
that's
think
not
we need to
really
have
a lot of time. But it's amazing the number of roads, if you don't live on it, the amount of traffic that is on those roads. I can't imagine what it is on the Silas Brown Road, because I know what the count is going into
Well, I know it's significant
Arrowhead.
on Deering Ridge Road, because
Yes,
that's a
it is.
feeder road.
Yes, it is.
And I can also remember that when it used to be dirt. So there's been a significant change to that road.
I'm not that old.
which covers, you're not that old. When I built my house up there, Fred's father had just redone the dirt section of that road up through and whatnot, so, and it was dirt for some time after that.
Back when
but-
I came up here a few years ago to live year-round, I was surprised that it was paved. It
And
was
I'm
dirt
only,
for
and I'm
so
only
long.
29, so you can
Yeah.
put that all in perspective.
Oh, okay. So anyway, to end this conversation, I would think that you, after reading this ditching thing, and we will have more information on priorities as far as egress out of town, as far as safety is concerned, and what roads need to be patched and not patched, is that we would request that our amount for the road review committee be verbally increased for a CIP. In other words, to do the plan. The road commissioner has a maintenance and repair budget. He doesn't have, we spend all that 1 year just fixing storm damage. I don't think we're still caught up yet. But I think that's a consideration that if the road review is going to be charged with these responsibilities, that should be told that it needs to be increased. But that's like anything else. It's not a this is what you have to spend. It's what we believe we need to spend, and what we're going to spend it on.
Okay,
Questions?
anybody questions, comments? Certainly appreciate you speaking for the committee, John, and
No problem.
we'll have you back on another rotation.
Dennis, don't puff him up anymore.
Okay, all right.
On the backside all the time.
All right, thanks, John. All right, you wanted to add something into the agenda, Tammy Jo?
Make a motion to add county budget discussion to the agenda.
Has new business.
Yes.
You want to second that?
Second?
Any discussion? And this would be for
The-
the prep for Monday nights.
Yes.
So, all those in favor? Okay, under item 4 under new business. Okay, anything else?
I think we need to have a discussion about public meeting packets.
Okay, you want to add it to the agenda, or?
Yes.
So, want to make a motion to that effect?
Make a motion, we add item number 5, public meeting packets.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Okay, add that as item 5. Anything else? All right, moving along. Item number 1, staff training. I think we teed this up last week for discussion relative to cross-training and whatnot, and I think it really goes to Nancy's responsibility, and I know there's a whole bunch of things that come into play, contractual language and everything else that you got to work around. But I think we talked about, well, certainly we talked about training for the entire, all the committees and staff and everything else we've been discussing. And this was more oriented towards cross-training, potential, as we get into the budget season, consolidations, if that's what we got to talk about, and et cetera, so.
I would like to see here, to start off on this, a list of employees in the town office here and what their job capabilities are. And then a recommendation for which areas each staff member would be recommended to be cross-trained, whether they're trained in, each person is trained in 2 areas, or people are trained in 3 areas. See that recommendation. We then, when we have that down, then we know what the level of training needs to be, and once we do the cross-training, then we need to have a schedule where each person works in those areas so that training doesn't go away, so that they become proficient in being able to do it. So I think the first thing would be is to get a list of names and what people are trained to do, and then a recommendation is what whether they're cross-trained to do 1 extra thing or 2 or 3.
What else?
So that would be my my motion to have Nancy provide that information to us.
I think that would be a great place to start. I brought it up last week because we've had a couple situations now where we've ended up with just one person working the front. And, when you come in and the line's down the hallway to Nancy's office, you recognize that's a problem, particularly when you're seeing it more than once in a great while. So I think John's idea is a great place to start with that.
Okay, so John has put that on the form of a motion, so does somebody want to
second it.
second that? All right, discussion. Anything else that you,
Well, we need to look, I think, at what certifications those things hold to find out what extra expense we're going to incur by having more than, 1 or 2 people certified in a particular area. It may be cost prohibitive, depending on what it is.
That would be another piece of information we'd want to.
yeah.
I mean, the cross-training, not only is it good for providing services to people, but I think it also sets a stage for team, for kind of a team atmosphere, and I think that's just good for the organization.
I think it also adds value to your employees. An employee who's able to perform 2 or 3 functions is definitely a valuable asset to the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the objective here, which we're all here for, is to serve the people, right? So that's got to be first and foremost of everything that's done, so. Anything else? All those in favor? Opposed? All right, so Nancy, we didn't hang a timeline on it, but I would think that we would want to have you come back sooner than later, right? With at least a
Probably
straw
2 weeks.
man of a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Discuss town report deadline and dedication. Pam mentioned to me the other day, instead of waiting until the last minute, maybe we ought to get the town report done now. So, thought that was a great idea. We've got most everything that we need to produce, other than committee reports and those kind of things. So, what we need to think of is, I guess, drive a stake in the ground of when we want it out. And, typically we've always waited just before the town meeting. I mean, we could put it out now. The downside of that is it wouldn't have a warrant in it. But then again, I'm not sure how many people pick up the town report just to look at the warrant. And I think we could produce the warrant locally here out of the town office and with, I don't know, 200 to 300 copies of that we'd have to produce, right? So, probably no reason that we can't move forward with the town report sooner than later and actually get it out so that somebody, it kind of looks at, yeah, the year closed 6 months ago and here's the town report.
Wasn't that already in the
Yeah.
timeline?
It's in the timeline for the budget process. I mean, there's nothing that says we can't get a piece of it done earlier committee reports, but we were looking at having it out in April with the warrant in it.
Yeah, the problem with April warrant is I mean, I would hope that we would have the warrant at least profiled by then.
I hope we have the warrant done by that. That's the goal that we all agreed on.
If we had a town report and then did the warrant separately, and you have them done together, you can do an insert.
Yeah.
And then we can make sure that we get the town report done at a certain time, and if for some reason we're held up on the warrant, it could go out at a different time, or it could go in as an insert.
Yep. So, I guess we tentatively have if we want to go back to the budgeting process, which references the fact that the town report would be out at that period of time. The next question is dedication, and I think last year when we went through this, we typically have dedicated the town report to someone who has served the town in the past in the previous year. So if that's something that you can get as a list, maybe we can.
In the year before, you dedicated it to the
Service.
service people, so
Right.
I guess that's basically my question. Do you want to go back to someone who's done a lot for the
Well,
town
let's
and
take a
not-
look. I mean, I think we looked at, and we did John and Bob together, right?
Yep.
The last year.
So at least take a look at the last year of, you know,
Another idea for a dedication, because I already been kind of thinking about this. I like the idea of dedicating it to our staff this year and doing something in the town report that profiles our staff.
so it's another thought. So why don't we poke at it, bring it back next week, and Pam can get us a list of those that have served the town and passed on, and then we'll take a look at any other option or idea that somebody wants to have. Okay? You all set with that, Pam? Because I think most of it you can start to get off anyway, right, for
Yeah, I think,
structure, typesetting.
yeah,
I mean, we're all,
well, we're gonna need, she's gonna need about 4 or 6 weeks to,
so that backs us up, really backs us up from the committee reports and everything else.
I need to set a deadline for
So-
them to be submitted.
So if we're looking at April, then we're looking really at the middle to end of February with having everything, right?
Yeah,
So-
so I'm gonna have to get that in process.
As part of our monthly mail out of calendars and stuff like that, maybe we put in a request that all reports and stuff be in by the end of, I would say, make it the middle of February, and then you're only going to have to chase some of them down by the
No,
end.
no, I've stopped that. If it's not here, it doesn't go in.
Okay?
I don't have time to
You would
make-
be chasing right up until the
I
day
know.
it goes to the
And I
printers.
have done that,
Right.
so I've stopped that. Pay attention to that.
All right?
I'll try and get my name on time.
Tomorrow would be
Tomorrow would be good, yeah.
Tomorrow.
All right, anything else on that? Item 3, we'll just sign a technology management video technician contract. I think we asked Nancy and David to put something together. We've had a couple of weeks now, I think, to poke at that. So what is your pleasure?
This, without any information that has to deal with job performance or anything